Good morning. My name is Lennon. Can everyone hear me okay? I am a member of the Worship Music Committee. My pronouns are he, him, and his. If you are not familiar with the building, please reach out to one of our greeters if you have any questions. The first part of our service is recorded. The printing is nice and big. I don't need my glasses here. Following the benediction, the recording will end. Then we will go into our candles section of the service, which is not recorded. The service will be posted on our Facebook page and on YouTube. Given the concerns about COVID, we will not be having coffee or other beverages. If you wish to participate in fellowship, we will be gathering right here in the sanctuary for conversation. We require masks to wear while indoors, and we have some new masks at the entrances. Given the huge strain of COVID cases, we are also reminding everyone of the need to be socially distant. Please pay special attention to trying to remain several feet apart. There are people in our congregation who are immune compromised and need to be as safe and protective as possible whenever we get together. Due to COVID, we are not passing the basket for an offertory at this point. I believe it's on the back table there if you want to put something in there on your way out. First Parish also accepts online offerings, which you can learn about online on our website. Today, after a wonderful service led by Sandy Hammond and Peter Eldridge, featuring music of James Taylor, we welcome back our Minister Art Lavoie. Whoever you are, our technical director today is Linda Harding. Don't want to forget Linda. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Call to worship this morning, Intentions and Trust by Amy Lloyd. Today, I want to greet joy. Without a trace of suspicion, I want to open my eyes to the light without a blink of dread. I want to look out at any past without a whisper of shame. I want to look out at my past without a hint of fear. Today, I want to dance. Without passing to think, I want to belly laugh without caring who hears. And twirl in the sun until I fall breathless, free to be myself, full of the joy that I open to allow, completely letting go, without even a smudge of suspicion or a wink of hesitation. That's my intent. It's what I want. For this morning's opening hymn, we have number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time, which will be performed by Emily Browder Melville. Please feel free to hum along or sing in your head.
No one can morning, everyone. Please join with me in reciting the words to our chalice lighting that are printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Deb Keller-Wood, the Director of Spiritual Enrichment, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Today, the title of the service is Next. And I started thinking about what we could do with that. What does that mean? And then I got an idea. I'm going to hand you a piece of paper. I'm going to let you imagine what the paper's for. I did sanitize right before. a new way of doing things. This paper is something that I played around with at home. And then I kept thinking, paper and next. Paper and next. Okay, that makes no sense at all. But I found a way to connect a piece of paper and next. Hello. I thought about origami, paper and next. Well, I made something. Can you make this? Do you need me to talk you through it? Do we need to take it step by step? I also thought about these things that I made as a girl. Do you remember these? Find out who your boyfriend is, find out how many kids you're going to have. You used to predict your future with it. And it's just a piece of paper. Can you make this?
Yes.
A couple of people are saying yes. With instructions. You mean you need to know what happens next, and next, and next? What if I gave you the paper and I said, fold it in half? Do you know what we're going to do? What if I said fold it in half again the long way? Do you know now? What if I said fold it in half again? Anyone have any answer? So you're just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. This is next. This is next. Even without having all the answers. Although we do really like having all the answers ahead of time, don't we? I'm going to leave you with this paper. And I'm not going to give you the answer. You can figure out what the answer is for you. And we'll see what happens. The children and I are going to stay here through the musical reflection, so we're not going to be singing This Little Light, but after the musical reflection, I will stand up and lead them out. I wonder what you're going to do next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lavoie, minister here at First Parish in Plymouth. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I wanted to say a special word of welcome to anyone who is watching online, either on Facebook or on our YouTube channel. and we are now being distributed to a number of the public access television stations. So I think we're visible in our services are being seen in 6 different communities here. So I want to take a moment to welcome all of you and to let you know that we are delighted that you are part of our service this morning. And our website is first parishplymouthuu.org if you'd like to find out more information about the congregation or about Unitarian Universalism. You can leave messages there for the church administrator or for myself if you would, and there are ways to contact any of us. If you want to speak to me or know more about what's happening here, and also a way to make a contribution if that is your interest as well. So welcome to everyone who is joining us online or on TV, and we're delighted that you are with us.
Today's reading comes from Barbara Merritt. Next, my friend Steve claims that his philosophy of life, to the extent that it can be expressed in one word. Next, whatever the challenge in his life might be, he wants to be ready to meet it. Whatever he wakes up to, whether it is professional life, relationships, errands, or health conditions, Steve wants to have the same balance of a man behind the deli counter, welcoming his next customer with a friendly greeting. Next, next. What bewildering, demanding assignment has life given me to accomplish today? What completely outrageous problem must I find a way to solve? Whether it's a leak in the plumbing, a funny noise in the car engine, or the realization that it is no longer possible to pay off the bills, I like the idea of simply facing the task that presents itself. All that is required is an open heart, a curious mind, and a willingness to engage with reality. There are, of course, alternative ways to view the world. One of my favorites is to hope each morning when I open my eyes that the day will go smoothly. Smoothly being defined as nothing interfering with my pre-existing plans, no unpleasant delays, and especially no events that make me aware of my dependency or limitations. If you approach life with the expectation that nothing ought to interfere with your predilections and preferences, you are unlikely to resist and reject. You are likely to resist. I'm going to start that paragraph over again. If you approach life with the expectation that nothing ought to interfere with your own predilections and preferences, you are likely to resist and reject much of what happens. Resisting what is real, fighting with reality, getting angry and depressed with what is an exhausting and ultimately losing battle. Reality has a persistent way of showing up on your doorstep. You can waste a whole lot of wishing reality were simpler, less demanding, but the ever-changing circumstances of this life keep presenting themselves to us. The critical question is, how will we respond? I don't have the temperament or the religious maturity to greet every challenge with peaceful composure or to delight with an optimism that declares, this too can be conquered or made workable. but I love the image of someone behind a counter yelling out, "Next!" determined to offer what service and talent are available when a new proverbial customer appears. As I get older, I must ask life's challenges to get with me and take a number. I fully expect that some of the customers will be difficult and some will bring a gracious blessing. Some of the changes ahead will bring astonishing new life. Some will break my heart. And when one challenge appears to have been met and fully addressed, I am confident that the next challenge is waiting in the wings. Euripides wrote 2,500 years ago, "All is change. All yields its place and goes." Then we find ourselves face to face with the mystery of whatever comes next.
Next. When I first read that article by Barbara Merritt, who for many years was the minister at the First Unitarian Church of Worcester, I experienced a whole range of emotions. Skepticism, wonder, curiosity, delight, even a little sadness. I have not always been a next kind of guy. It's not easy for me to take everything as it comes. Though I can often rise to the occasion, it sometimes takes a lot of emotional and psychological work to get there. You know, there are several alternative approaches to life, some of which I've used on occasion, some on many occasions. One approach is to use anger and resentment to build a heavy and thick wall that will rebuff anything that comes near it. I call this approach, go away. It will keep people away, no doubt, but we will feed on our own anger and resentment till we destroy our very humanity and keep everyone away, even those who love and support us. Then there's one of my favorites. It's the one I call hide. If we stay in bed in the morning and pull the covers over our heads, literally or metaphorically, if we withdraw as much as possible, maybe life and the day's challenges won't find us. We can get lost, all right, and in the process, we might lose ourselves as well. Speaking of getting lost, we can always use some kind of substance or fantasy or rationalization as a means of avoiding the things we have to deal with. We can create our own little world that is so fragile that reality becomes ever more and more difficult and painful. And I suppose we can also go through life just skimming the surface, not letting anything or anyone get too close. This is the world of the fake smile and the fake concern that only makes us a plastic doll with no real emotions to share. We can also fool ourselves into thinking we are facing each new challenge, but if we do so without depth
or awareness of the emotional impact of what we encounter. We are little more than a runaway train smashing our way through life. The person that Barbara describes at the deli counter saying, "Next, next," is sure to genuinely greet each customer and doesn't forget half the order. You know, when I first planned the worship schedule for January, I had no idea this sermon would be happening as we were faced with Omicron and yet another outrageous wave of COVID infections. Took me a while to realize that maybe it's still an okay sermon to give, even though we're all pretty weary and overwhelmed. The alternative approaches to being ready and eager to face whatever today brings seem so much more appealing right about now. But I know they won't get me very far. The approach to life, which Barbara described as next, continues to intrigue me as an ideal that I might strive for. I would like to be more proactive, if not with eagerness, perhaps with open acceptance. Randy Pausch had everything. He was in his mid-40s. He was married to a woman he loved deeply and had 3 wonderful young children. He was a professor of computer science, human-computer interaction, and design at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. His life couldn't have been better. Then in the summer of 2006, Randy was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He quickly learned that pancreatic cancer has the highest mortality rate of any cancer. He went through a brutal surgery and a toxic regimen of chemotherapy and radiation. After 6 months, his CAT scan did not detect any cancer, and he began to regain the strength and the weight that he had lost during treatment. 6 months later, about a year after his original diagnosis, he went for a quarterly checkup. The CAT scan showed at least 10 tumors in his liver. His cancer had returned and metastasized. His life as he knew it was over, and his actual life would soon be over in 3 to 6 months, was what he was told. Randy had always been a next kind of guy. He had found ways to accomplish many of the things he wanted to do. But here was a roadblock to his plans and dreams that he would not be able to work his way around. He had every right to become angry, bitter, and withdrawn. But as his terminal diagnosis sank in, he decided to continue facing this challenge with acceptance and grace. He moved his young family from Pittsburgh to Virginia so that they would be closer to his wife Jay's family for the support they would need after he was gone. He spent intentional time with Jay, with the 3 young children and a few close friends, so they would have positive memories to carry them forward. And he shared his story and his struggle with the world. Carnegie Mellon has a program that's often called the last lecture, where some distinguished professor is asked to speak to her or his legacy, to answer some form of the question, what wisdom could I impart to the world if I knew this was my last chance? Randy Pausch's last lecture became so famous on the internet that he followed it up with a short book about his life that became a bestseller. He decided to use his last lecture to talk about how he was able to achieve his hopes and his dreams. Could any of us do that, I wonder? How many of us could face such a challenge with so much strength, resilience, and hope? How many of us would fall into despair and give up any life strategy of next? Now, I know there are good reasons why I and why we have adopted some of the more dysfunctional approaches to life. Life has dealt us some crises and challenges that make it difficult to face the reality of each day, that perhaps even make it painful to say, next. Being able to live by a philosophy of next takes a strong belief that life will not challenge us in ways that we cannot handle. I don't know about you, but I'm not always sure I believe this. The tragedies of life make weariness and despair an easy option. And that, my friends, is where we turn to each other and to our faith, especially to the universalist part of this heritage that we hold dear. Our universalist ancestors were more simple people, not often well educated, from rural and working class backgrounds. They probably knew more about tragedy than our more wealthy Unitarian forebears. Yet they are the ones who understood that life is for the living. They are the ones who understood that without each other, without this interconnected web of human relationships in an abundant world, they could not survive. They are the ones who understood that it was a belief in goodness and abundance and the love of God, of the earth, of all living things. They understood that this belief was the only way to thrive as a whole person in a difficult world. I don't know if they knew about the writings of Julian of Norwich, but they could have taken inspiration from her. She lived through the Black Plague and part of the 100 Years' War. She knew pain and struggle. The tragedies and triumphs of her life brought her to a deep and intimate experience of God's love, of the positive force of human experience. In her theology, she recognized that pain and struggle and even sin could lead to a deeper understanding of our call as human beings to serve the holy, to face the daily challenges and joys that life brings to us, and to serve the power of love in the world. Her famous phrase that is often quoted is, "All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of things will be well." Another of my colleagues, the Reverend Meg Barnhouse, has read and pondered Dame Julian's words. She reminds us that for Julian, this was no pie-in-the-sky fantasy, but a realization born out of difficult and painful life experiences. One story that's told about Julian is that when her mule got stuck on a mountain road in a rainstorm, she dismounted, she shook her fist at the sky and shouted, "God, if this is how you treat your friends, it's no wonder you don't have many." In addition to being a minister, Meg is a singer and a songwriter. She wrote a song that's a dialogue between her and Julian of Norwich. In her part of the dialogue, Meg brings up issues like hunger and disease, loneliness and cruelty. And Julian's words are always the refrain. All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of things will be well. Julian goes on to say that everyone experiences some level of the pain and struggle of life, but we also know about tenderness. We also know about friendship. We also know about the life of the Spirit. We also know about love that does not end. Meg writes, "I know I have a choice between hope or despair when viewing the world and my future. Each choice has equal evidence in its favor. Each is affirmed and underscored by my life experience. How do I decide between them? I choose the one that brings the most joy, the most healing, the most compassion to my life and to the world. In despair, I am no good to anyone. I stop functioning well. I drag through the days. I deal with horrors that haven't even happened yet. I don't enjoy my children, food, sex, or any of the other dazzling pleasures of my life. I think Meg would agree that Julian's theology is a wonderful expression of our Universalist heritage and embodies that philosophy of next. As Randy Pausch was preparing his last lecture, his given topic was about finding ways to realize our dreams and our goals. But in fact, in his words, it's not about how to achieve your dreams. It's about how to lead your life. If you lead your life the right way, the karma will take care of itself. The dreams will come to you. Randy's book doesn't say whether he ever read any of the theology of Julian of Norwich. But I can imagine him grinning in full agreement of her words. All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of things will be well, and all will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of things will be well. Amen. And blessed be. Our closing hymn. The words are on an insert in your order of service, just as long as I have breath. Please hum along, mouth the words, sing them in your head, hopefully someday soon we will be able to sing together.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I make my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision rests, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Our benediction this morning comes from the words of the 13th century Persian poet Rumi in a piece titled The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.